like the lighting. Oh, okay. It's not as bad as I thought it was. All right, we're going to wait a few minutes for people to come on. It is so hot here. Oh. My last two little pinky nails still hanging on for dear life while the rest of my nails are off. Hopefully people are getting notifications. The notifications, if you're watching this on the replay, you guys, the notifications have not been working. So if that's happening to you, because it's happening to a lot of my members, make sure that you unsubscribe and then resubscribe, because that will make a difference as far as that's concerned. And if you are watching the replay, hashtag team replay. All right, guys, I'm not going to be on here. I don't want to be on here super late because my lighting is going and I don't want to have to turn on the big lights. So the sun is like setting and that's why the lighting is kind of weird. I guess I could go sit outside, but I don't. My neighbors are out there. So I'm going to stay in here. So we're here to talk about the Karen Reed trial, and we're going to talk about some court stuff besides that. Before I really launch into the Karen Reed stuff, I did want to just mention the other two court cases that have caught my attention. The first one I have mentioned before, and I haven't started to look into too much of it. I just watched a quick clip before I came live about the most recent update. And this one is the other, so it's probably the next one I'm going to cover. It's called the Idaho murders, but it's not the Idaho murders. It's associated with it, but it's like separated from it. So it's actually from a TikTok psychic who is being sued for defamation because of things she said about somebody who she's accusing for being the murderer or being involved with the murders. And the reason why it's defamation is because she has no evidence. It's her tarot cards. That's it. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the short and dirty of it right now. The most recent update that was as of this last week. Apparently the judge was the one who was deciding the defamation. Unlike the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial where there was a jury, the judge was the one that decided if the psychic was actually liable for defamation. And the judge determined that she was, which means she is actually now in trouble. Like there's other stuff that needs to happen. So in order for the next steps, I guess the next steps are there's actually going to be a jury trial, but the jury trial isn't going to be if the TikTok psychic is charged with defamation, because that's already been decided. What it is for oh god, I can't remember the name. It's for what she's gonna penalties and things like that. There's a special name for it and I didn't write it down, and of course I can't think of it off the top of my head, even though I just heard it 3 minutes ago. So that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be about like paying back like what is lost, paying back, because this person who was being defamed has lost a lot of their livelihood and a lot of their reputation and things of that nature because of the accusations that have happened. And it caught my attention because it's a TikTok psychic and like, holy cow. Now, the second one that I haven't looked into at all, I think this one is in Iowa. But because I live in Rhode Island, I confuse Iowa and Idaho a lot. Like I mix them up because they both start with I's. It's just how my brain is, because I've never been there, and it's just kind of like they combine together. I believe the other one is in Iowa, and this one is being called a witch trial, and I'm not sure why. I heard about it literally last night. I was watching a stream by one of the legal analysts that I like, and somebody had asked them, "Are you going to cover the witch trial in Iowa?" And I was like, Witch trial. What is that? So there's something there, but I have a lot more research to do into that before I can even like speak on it, because I literally have no idea what's going on with that. But today we're going to talk about, I'm not going to do a super, super long summary of the Karen Read stuff. I might have to change my positioning. I don't know, as the sun is setting. I am not going to go into super deep analysis or detail as deep as I have in the past. So if you're interested in like what the heck is going on right now, definitely go and watch my other lives that I've done about the Karen Read trial. I am planning on doing a longer form of giving all the like what's day by day what happened in the court, but I'm not ready for that yet. I'm still putting that together. So we're not there yet, but that's okay. So tonight, the reason why I wanted to go live this weekend about it, and it was a goal of mine to go live this weekend, because the trial, there's court on Monday morning. Monday morning is July 22nd, I think. I don't even have the date right in front of me. I want to say it's July 22nd. And yeah, it's the 22nd. And there's going to be court around this case. And what's going to be talked about on Monday is, what are the next steps? Are they going to continue to press charges? What is the scheduling for the next hearing? How is that going to happen? And I'm sure they're going to cover what we're going to talk about tonight, which is some of the motions that have been filed over the last 2 weeks and getting answers for that. So I did a lot of like writing notes down about everything just to, oh, are you kidding me? And my internet's skipping. Yeah, of course it is, because I'm streaming. So if I drop, I'll have to open another one. I just hope that's not the case. Let's see. Okay. It looks like I'm good. Okay. All right. So anyway, what up to this point, I'm going to do a quick summary of how we got to where we are. Very quick, not super deep. And then we're going to look at a couple of different things that I want to look at around tarot about it, and see what the deal is with that. I had my hair braided today, so it's all like wavy, but it's driving me crazy because I want it back in braids because it's hot. All right. So as a reminder, Karen Read, this case was in Canton, Massachusetts. There was a lot going on in the media. There still is. And she was a woman who was charged with 3 different counts of homicide. The first count was second-degree homicide. The second count was operating a vehicle while intoxicated. And then there was other counts underneath the second one, because there was things like, did she start the chain of events that happened? And then the third one is leaving the scene of an accident causing death. She was charged with basically hitting her cop boyfriend at the time. He's now deceased, of the victim. His name was John O'Keefe, and leaving him for dead in the snow. And then the defense argued that she was framed. We're not going to get into all of that tonight, but that is part of it. And then the way that, and it was a very long trial. It was a very strange trial, which is why I want to talk about the whole thing at another time. But the end result of the trial, the last day of court, was on July 1st. And the jury came back saying they're at a deadlock. They can't do anything else. And the judge immediately declared a mistrial. Now, I found some interesting, the notes I started taking today, we're going to kind of go in chronological order. So when I wrote this down, I wrote these notes July 8th, and then I found out more information today. So we're kind of follow the order of how I was following the news as it was coming out, as the information was coming out to the public. So on July 1st, the judge declared a mistrial. She did not poll the jury, meaning asking the jurors who voted for what. a lot of the legal analysts that I've watched said that that is odd. That is strange. Normally, that's something that happens, especially when there's a hung jury, asking each juror what they voted. But neither set of lawyers requested for that either. So the judge didn't do it and the lawyers didn't ask for it. It's not like either the defense or the prosecution asked for it and the judge refused it. She didn't do it and nobody asked for it. So there's that. And that is going to be important as we get going with the upcoming details that are relevant right now. So on July 8th, the defense team filed a motion to dismiss counts 1 and 3, to find Karen Read, to acquit Karen Read of counts 1 and 3. Counts 1 is second-degree homicide, where she intentionally hit him with her car, and count 3 is leaving the scene of the accident that caused death. The reason why the defense filed for a dismissal with those 2 counts is because jurors have started to reach out to the defense team. So on July 8th, they had heard about 3 jurors during this motion that they filed. And the defense, there's 2 defense lawyers. One is Alan Jackson and one is David Yannetti. Alan Jackson filed that a juror, so they labeled the jurors, they're keeping their names anonymous. So this is juror A. Juror A reached out to Alan Jackson and said, actually, no, the whole jury found Karen Read not guilty on count 1 and count 3. So second-degree homicide and leaving the scene of an accident causing death. The whole jury, this is what this juror is claiming. Juror A is claiming that the entire jury agreed on that. And they all felt that she was not guilty for those 2 counts. And that was not reported because they couldn't agree on the second piece, which is the operating the vehicle while intoxicated, and did she set into chain of events that caused the night's events and things like that. So there was two not guilties and one hung jury, and that was not revealed in court at that time. It wasn't shared, it wasn't documented, it wasn't talked about. That is why the polling the jury is kind of going to come into play here, because nobody polled the jury. So how would they have known that? But the lawyers didn't ask for it, and the judge didn't do it, and the trial's over. So there's a lot of interesting things that are coming to light here as this is happening. And now I'm not even talking about the social media stuff. I'm not talking about the news. I'm not talking about the ugly stuff that's happening with the Alberts and the McCabe's and some of the reporters and the YouTube. I'm not even getting into all that. It's very ugly, especially on Twitter. Some stuff is really bad. I'm staying out of most of that part of it. Like, I'm not out of it, meaning like I'm not participating, but I mean, I'm not even researching a lot of that stuff because it's way too negative and both sides are so heavy. It's just, I can't. I could spend my entire life focusing on this one thing, and obviously I can't do that. So anyway, Juror A reached out to Alan Jackson, one of the defense attorneys, saying, no, we found her not guilty on counts 1 and 3, but count 2 was the one that we were confused about, and it was a split verdict. Now, with that said, they made a motion to dismiss on number 1 and 3, saying she cannot be retried because that's actually double jeopardy since the jury found her not guilty. However, that's not on the record, but we're not going to get into that just yet. Then, along with this motion to dismiss, they also included 2 other jurors, and this is where it gets a little wacky and funny too, actually. Like, one of the reporters I was following was singing, heard it from a friend who, heard it from a friend who, that song. Don't mind my terrible singing, but that song, if you guys know that song, it's like the telephone game. It's really bad. So they said 2 other jurors brought up, so juror B and juror C now Juror A contacted Alan Jackson. Now we have two others, B and C, just to keep them separate so we can keep track of who they are. B and C told people who told people who told people who reached out to Yannetti. What? So it's like 3 or 4 degrees of separation. So both juror B and C, and there's I think I talked about it a little bit in my last live last week about it, because this was kind of coming to light last week as well. Jurors B and C told other people. They each individually told friends that they had in one way or another. And those friends told their friends, and their friends told their friends, and their friends reached out to David Yannetti. Oh, okay. How is that even like I said, 6 degrees of separation? It's crazy. It's a bit like wonky there. But the way that I wrote it down, they didn't speak to Yannetti directly. They spoke to others. They spoke to others, who then spoke to their friends, who then spoke to their friends, who then spoke to Yannetti. So like maybe 4 degrees of separation, actually. So these jurors B and C do not have any kind of official documentation that they have said this. It's not on the record. What's on the record is the telephone game. Okay. They spoke to Yannetti, which is the other defense attorney. With that said, he did not seek out the jurors, but the jurors also didn't seek them out. So it's a little bit messy. This is a legal issue. And there's a lot of questions about once a jury has made a decision, once a trial has been declared what it is, once it's on record, once the jury is dismissed, can this be undone? Can this be changed? So there's a lot of confusion about how the law works. A lot of questions about this because it's a unique thing. There's not a lot of case laws. There's not a lot of history that this has happened. And when people are arguing the law, they have to argue previous things and how laws have been established. And this has never happened before. So it's a very odd gray area, of course, because why wouldn't it be? Because this case is very bizarre. With that said, so there's a law, a very strict law, that inquiring about jury deliberations, meaning what the jury actually discussed and how they discussed getting to the verdict, that is extremely against the law. The court cannot do that. That is discouraged extremely. That's a big no-no. So is it against jury deliberation questioning? Does it fall under that? Or is it a poll about what the verdict is? So it's kind of like I said, it's this gray area about what umbrella it falls under. It could be sent to an appellate court if the judge denies the motion, which would then immediately send it to appeals. And while in appeals, they couldn't retry the original case, because if the appellate court dismisses 1 and 3, they can't try 1 and 3 while they're dismissing 1 and 3. So that could slow everything else down later on. Then at the same time, so this was back in, just for the record, July 8th. Then at the same time, Michael Proctor, the lead investigator who screwed everything up, first he got relieved of duty, then he got relieved of duty without pay. I am going to try to go back and pull cards around his situation. I do want to see if he's actually going to get fired. I want to look into that because I'm strongly opinionated about him. And there's also a federal investigation going on into his investigation, like with internal affairs and stuff like that with his conduct. So that is also going on the side, which that's not overly public. Like, they're not sharing information. So I don't know. We don't know what's going on there. Then this past week on the 15th of July, the Commonwealth, which is the state of Massachusetts, the prosecution, responded to the defense's request to dismiss numbers 1 and 3, like we just talked about, because all jurors have said 1 and 3 are not guilty. All the jurors that have come forward had said that she was not guilty on those counts. She was not guilty. We all said it. She was not guilty. However, the Commonwealth said no verdicts came in. There's nothing on record about that. No verdict slips were filled out with that. There was no poll of them. So the jury was released, the mistrial was declared, and that's it. There's no room to bring jury back in. We're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to look into the deliberative process. There's a strong law there. And it turned out the prosecutor argued this case law that is a strong one in the jurisdiction of Massachusetts, where it's highly discouraged for a split verdict or some/all verdicts. It's not really encouraged. So it's highly likely that because of that law in the state of Massachusetts could be why the attorneys didn't request the polling, and it could also be why the judge didn't. So it's not necessarily she was being negligent or they were being negligent. It's actually likely a part of the laws in the land in that area. Every jurisdiction has different laws. So she was strongly urged not to go looking for partial verdicts when jury doesn't bring it to their attention. So for the moment, legal analysts are believing that deadlock with legal movements. They're in a deadlock with legal movements here because the court cannot dismiss the charges technically. The jury cannot be called back once they're dismissed. So some are putting out theories that the only legal way through is by the state of Massachusetts dismissing 1 and 3 in an interest of justice. And would they really do that? Because they seem very high and mighty. So we could try to pull some cards around that too, but I almost feel like it's not necessary. I feel like they're not going to do it, but we can look at it. I just feel like the prosecutor has a very big ego, and he's going to stand firm that he's right and he's right and he's right, and that's it. And he's not going to budge on that. And it is what it is. That's what I feel like is going to happen there. For those of you that are wondering what I'm drinking, this is my own iced tea thing that I made for myself a few nights ago with a little bit of seltzer in it. I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, so there's also a lot of concerns about once the jury is released, the reason why the juries are kept separate and not allowed to discuss the case, not allowed to research the case, is because they can be influenced. Did somebody influence these juries? Did somebody get to them? What are they reading? They're reading stuff. Are they changing their minds because they're reading stuff? But it's interesting because so far the jurors that have come forward have all said the same thing. No, we found it not guilty. The whole jury found her not guilty for 1 and 3. Now on the 17th, the defense replied to the prosecution's opposition, and it was written by a new defense person who was brought into the team. His name was Martin Weinberg, and he cited a bunch of case laws that allows inquiry from the jury in verdict forms and error on verdict law. So the defense is asking it to be dismissed outright, and this motion actually leaves legal room for the inquiring of each individual juror because of their impression is no forms could be marked until a full verdict was reached. So basically what they're trying to say is the jury was confused about documentation. Because if all the jurors are saying, no, we didn't find her, we found her not guilty on 1 and 3, but it was not marked down on paper because the way the forms were set up, you weren't supposed to mark it down unless you had a clear answer for all of them. So they had a clear answer for 1 and 3, and it was all on one sheet of paper. They had a clear answer for 1 and 3, but they didn't have a clear answer for 2. So it can be confusing with legal documentation. Somebody who is a special education teacher and all the things that get confusing about what means what and where and how and why and what to put where, that takes a lot of time to learn. So 12 people thrown into a room with different levels of education and intelligence and knowledge and understanding and point of views, yeah, it might be confusing about that. And there was never any real clarification. So that was something that was going on when the juries were deliberating, that people were saying, oh, the forms don't make sense. They're confusing. I don't understand it. So is that a part of it? It could be. It's a good theory. So basically they're saying they couldn't fill out the verdict forms because they didn't have an answer for all three, and they didn't know that they could ask about it. They don't know. If you don't know you can ask, how are you going to ask? No, probably not. So that was interesting. And so that's a motion that's been filed midway last week. And the reason why there's a new, and I think I mentioned this last week when I went live, I believe, the reason why there's a new attorney for the defense team is because now that defense attorney Alan Jackson and defense attorney David Yannetti both have to share statements as part of this dismissal, they now could be called as witnesses. And because of that, there's a conflict of interest. So they have to call in another lawyer to represent the team. Okay, that brings us to Friday. So today is Saturday. That brings us to yesterday, the 18th of July. There were new filings and also supplemental filings. So we're all up to speed on what the defense has filed. And then there was one more additional juror that came forward, juror D or E. I'm not sure. It might be E. They might have labeled it E because there's another juror that is now in the mix, and they're being called juror Doe. So is that juror D? I don't know. It's getting confusing. But there was a fourth juror that came forward to the defense directly. So two separate jurors, not the same ones with Yannetti, not B and C. Two separate, juror A and juror, we'll call them E, came forward to Alan Jackson to say, yes, we found her not guilty on counts 1 and 3. So now two people have officially said that to the defense. Two people by word of mouth, it's gotten back to the defense. And now we have a fifth person who has a different thing going on here that we're going to talk about, because this is where it's getting really ugly. So on Friday, a juror went to the court with their own lawyer about the jury list. What this means is, and I think I talked about this right at the beginning of the mistrial, the juror list, and maybe I didn't because I wasn't really focusing too much on the jurors at the time. The juror list was impounded, which is the term that they use in Massachusetts, I guess, but it's basically, it was sealed. It was not shared to the public. It was sealed for like the first week and a half or something, 10 days or 12 days after the trial, to protect the jurors' identities. And what's happening here is it was expiring on the 18th, July 18th, and this juror D was very concerned about that. So this juror D got their own lawyer, went to court, and basically gave a bazillion reasons of why they're requesting the court to extend the list being sealed until further notice, because they are, the short version is they're afraid of their safety. They're afraid for their safety. They're afraid for their family's safety. They're afraid something big will happen, bad, negative, violent, horrible would happen if their identity was disclosed, and they just wanted to be, they requested it to be sealed. The judge did grant that motion. If I have time, I will go back and share some of the details about that, but I do want to get to pulling some cards in a second. I want to finish up what to expect in court on Monday. So what to expect on court, this individual, this juror D, was very concerned and very fearful, and brought up a lot of points of things that they've seen in the media and why it's scaring them. And I'm not discounting any of that. They feel scared, and that's their feelings, and there's nothing wrong with that. So we can go back and talk about that in a few minutes, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole thing that's going to happen. Okay, so defense filed a motion the same day, so on the 18th, the same day that juror D requested Juror Doe requested the impoundment of the jury list, the continued seal of the jury list. The defense also filed another motion saying that Juror E had come to them directly, confirmed they reached verdicts 1 and 3, and undecided on count 2. So that is the case as well. So now the defense, where does that leave us? Well, right now, the defense has filed multiple motions that jurors have reached out to them saying that it was unanimous that she was not guilty for 1 and 3. There's a lot of muddy area about the case law around if the court can even dismiss those 2 counts, if that's even legally okay at this point, if the judge can do that. And there's a lot of confusion about, okay, well, maybe there needs to be something here about polling the jury, but how? Because once the jurors are gone, it's done. It's done. But this motion that was filed on Friday argued that, this motion that was filed Thursday with the new lawyer argued that there's case law where you can ask the jury, you can inquire and send inquiry to the jury post-trial about the verdict forms, because that's not questioning their deliberations, it's questioning paperwork. It's questioning how they filled out the paperwork and did they understand it, and was it misrepresented? Was it incorrectly filled out? So there is this question about whether the judge is going to dismiss 1 and 3, whether the judge is going to inquire into that with the jury. Is she going to bring them back in and have, I don't know, sessions with them? I don't know if that would be like a full witness stand thing or what. Or is it going to just be documentation? Because the defense also said if the court wants to do it just by affidavit, which is a legal statement made, that instead of having the jurors all come in and be questioned, you can ask for affidavits from each juror. So those are the options. And if the court does not dismiss 1 and 3, it is predicted that they will immediately go to the appeals court, which will put everything on hold for a long time. Because you can't, if you're trying to get 2 counts dismissed and they're trying to recharge those, it's like they cancel each other out. So you can't be in the middle of a trial trying to try 3 counts when 2 of those counts might get dismissed because of the appellate court. And then there's only 1 count left. You can't do that. The appellate court overrules everything. But it is definitely something that is going to be interesting. And I am going to pull cards to see, because when I pulled cards around the trial, I pulled cards around the mistrial, if it was going to be a hung jury. And I want to share the cards that I got. Let me see if I can find it. I took a picture of it too, just to kind of document it for myself. It's on video in one of the lives that I did. I'm not sure which live it was, though, is the trouble. But let's see if I can find the picture of the cards and I can share it with you guys, if it's still on my phone. And it's not, because I've cleared out my memory. Hi, D. Roy. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, it has been a little while, hasn't it? Yeah, I don't think I have. No, couldn't have gone. No, I didn't go that far back. Maybe it's in my Google Photos. Oh, and it's suddenly dark. All right, I'm going to have to go turn on some lights. Hold on. All of a sudden, I look down and I look back up 2 minutes later and it's dark. How are you guys? Welcome. So we're just chatting about the Karen Reed trial. I'm looking up my card pulls from when I did a live. It had to be around... I'm not seeing it. No, I don't know where they are. I know I pulled cards, and it was 3 cards, and one was like the death card. No. I can't find him. Oh, here they are. Yay, I found them. Okay, so this was like to see what the trial was going to do. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yeah, and it's actually not that dark outside. It's just, this is a shitty camera, and the sun is slowly setting. Like, if you look behind me, you can see that it's not that dark outside in the windows. It's just, I'm inside. I'm going to turn the lights on in a second, though. Oh, let me see if I can turn that brightness down. Hold on. Okay. So when I pulled cards around the Karen Reed trial, like what the jury was going to do, if you guys, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it was 8 of Swords, Devil reversed, and Hangman reversed. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be deadlocked. It's not going to, they're not going to have it, an answer. And that's what ended up happening. I'm going to go turn on the lights for a second, because I want to pull cards around Michael Proctor, the investigator, and kind of see what's going to happen to him. And I want to pull cards around the trial date on Monday. Where is this going to go? Is it going to, so we have like 3 options. The judge could, actually there was one other option, but I don't think that's going to happen. We wouldn't get that result Monday. One option is the judge could dismiss it. The judge could dismiss counts 1 and 3 and say, yes, no, with all this evidence, we're going to dismiss it. One option is the judge could decide to look into the jurors and get more information. And then one option is she can totally deny it. So there's 3 options there. The 4th option is if she denies it before they go to appeals, the prosecution can decide to dismiss it, but they're not going to, I don't think. All right, give me 1 second, you guys. I'm sticking to my seat because it's leather and it's hot outside. Hold on. I'm going to turn the lights on real quick so we can actually see. And probably need do we need the other lights? Let me see. Is this good enough? It's not bad. All right. I think we're okay here. Ooh. And I need cards. That's what I needed. I wanted cards. I didn't have any cards. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit. Oh, I know why this is not the chair I usually sit on. I usually have like a thing, because my seats are leather or pleather, faux leather. So I usually have like a cover thing on my seats so that, maybe if I go this way now, so I'm facing the light more, so that I don't stick to the seats, but I forgot to do that. So it is what it is. Okay, so I wanted to pull cards on that. So have you guys been following it? What do you guys think about it all? It's crazy. It's totally crazy. It's been crazy from start to finish. It's been crazy from the minute Michael Proctor got the case, 16 hours into the case, deciding that she was guilty. And there's evidence of that, of him saying that in text messages to his friends from high school. The lead investigator, the lead Massachusetts State Police detective who is in charge of investigating this death, this incident, already had decided that she was guilty, and that was it. And he said some really, really, really disgusting things about her. Terrible things. Things I do not want to repeat on here because I will get demonetized. But really terrible things about her body. Because she has an illness, saying things about her bathroom habits, just really gross about. And he's supposed to be this impartial detective who's investigating. Like, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? Until there's actual evidence. And in my opinion, there was never enough evidence, but he had already decided. So they found the evidence to make it happen. They made the evidence happen. That's my personal opinion. And that's why I'm so fascinated by this whole thing. So he is now, first of all, under FBI investigation, but he hasn't been fired yet, but he has been relieved of duty without pay. And I want to see what's going to happen to him first. And we probably won't find out the results of that for a long time. Like, I highly doubt that that the results of like his inquiry and his people investigating him, I doubt that we're going to find out about that for a while. But I want to look into if he gets fired first, and then I want to look into if there's going to be any kind of criminal charges placed against him on a federal level. So will he get fired? Oh, okay. We got the Emperor, the Page of Cups, the Moon reversed, the Empress reversed, and the King of Cups. I don't think he's going to get fired. That sucks. I don't think he's going to get fired. I think that the big men in charge are going to find a way to sweep it under the rug, because with the Moon and the Empress reversed, it's hiding things. Let's hide stuff. Let's hide things. Shh. Secrets. Shh. Let's hide it, because we got each other's backs. We're drinking buddies. We're pals. We got it. I don't think he's gonna get like desk duty or something, but I don't think that he's going to end up getting full dismissal. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get full dismissal. I think they're gonna cover it somehow. They're gonna cover it up, because there's still lots of stuff going on in the media about covering it up. I want to take a picture of it though. There's still lots of stuff happening. I think we need more light. I don't want to put more light on because it's going to give me a headache. So I'll probably wrap up soon then. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on in the media. There's a lot going on Twitter about it. Like, it's really, it's the wild west on Twitter about it. Like, real bad. I try not to go to follow it on Twitter because people are crazy. And I understand why that juror is afraid of for his own safety. I get it. Or her. I don't know if it's a he or her, but I totally get it with the kind of stuff that's been happening. Okay. So we're going to look at what the FBI is going to do about him. What's going to be the result of the FBI case of Michael Proctor? What's going to be the FBI result of Michael Proctor? We have, hold on. This one came out first. Wheel of Fortune, 3 of Wands, Death, and 10 of Cups in the reversal. Something big is going to shift. I think it's going to take a really long time. These two here as the last 2 cards, it feels like, so I'm not getting he got fired. Like, when I first looked at it for his job, I don't think he's going to get fired. I think he's going to go to jail. And then because he goes to jail, obviously, he loses his job. At least that's what it feels like the cards are saying. But they might fire him to make an example of him. But this is feeling like something has to change, and he's going to lose a lot. So I do feel like something's going to end up. I don't know exactly what they're investigating, so it's hard to like do a reading around something you're not really clear on what they're looking into right now. It is so hot. I had my hair up all day today because it's hot, and I'm like hot right now, even with a fan next to me. And it's not even that hot outside. I'm just hot because I refuse to put the air conditioning on. All right. I wanted to look at, what else did I want to look at? I wanted to look at what it looks like is going to happen in court on Monday. So Monday court, let's see. How do I want to do that? Do I want to do 3 different options? No, I don't think so. I think I want to just pull some cards and look at it. Like, what is the result on Monday? What does the judge end up doing? Let's see. Okay. On Monday. So again, our options on Monday, the options that could come to, that I believe from what I've learned, what I've researched, the options could be the judge dismisses 1 and 3. The judge looks into inquiring the jury, or the judge denies the movement. Now, a lot of people have theorized that the judge is corrupt as well. I'm not going to say that. I don't know what her deal is. I honestly think she just doesn't like her job. It's what it is. When I was looking at it, she was always like so bored. It was like she wasn't interested. She just wanted to get the hell out, is what I saw. Like she just was so fed up. Okay, what's going to happen on Monday? Let's see. What's going to happen in court on Monday? What's going to happen in court on Monday? Ace of Swords. I don't think she's going to. Yeah. 4 of Cups reversed. 5 of Cups reversed. 3 of Wands. I don't think she's going to dismiss it. I think what she's going to do, I feel like she's going to look at the jury. Because with this, it's like there's more information that's needed. Need more information. Want more information. Not really knowing what we're doing just yet. Undecided. Not wanting to make any big mistakes that we're going to regret. Being cautious about that. And then looking ahead for more information to the future. I feel like she's going to want to talk to the jury. That's what I feel like she's going to want to talk to the jury. Because... And I feel like it's because she doesn't want to be put under any more scrutiny for being like, is she even impartial? Is she actually an impartial person? Like, she doesn't want to look bad either, which is kind of, as a judge, you shouldn't care about your image. But, like, I'm sure that her image has been an issue going forward because of some of the things that have happened. So, yeah, because she's gotten slammed on Twitter bad, and on YouTube, too. So it's been bad, but we'll see. Oh, I didn't take a picture. Shit. And I shuffled them back in. God dang it. I had Ace of Swords, 3 of Wands, 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups. Right? I meant to take a picture. Okay. So that's what I think is going to happen on Monday in court. We'll have to see. I'm not going to stream about it. I'll probably mention it on Tuesday's live stream in the morning. But I will also try to put a post up, like in the community tab about it. So there's that. The other thing I wanted to talk about this juror situation, about this person that's frightened for their life. They went into very deep detail about why. And they basically said that individuals involved with the case have been charged criminally with intimidation, which is true. At least one blogger, reporter has felony charges against them right now for intimidating witnesses. And at first I didn't really... This person lives in Worcester. His handle is Turtle Boy, but his legal name is Aiden Kearney. And I haven't seen anything too heavy that he has personally done, but I'm also only catching little snippets of his stuff. So I don't know. I do know that he has said and done a few things that were harmful, including talking really negatively about choices that jurors have made. And jurors are supposed to be able to feel safe enough to make the decisions that they need to make without getting harassed for it. So that's the thing, because he's not like a lawyer or anything. He's just like a blogger. And so he's charged with intimidation. He's charged with criminal intimidation of witnesses in the case. There's also a witness that testified during the case. I believe it was Jen McCabe and Caitlin Albert. I think it was Caitlin Albert. I'm still going through the details of the whole case, so I'm not there yet. But one of the witnesses testified that there was a lot of harassment of her and her family. I think it was Jen McCabe, and then like her daughter, being involved in the case, getting phone calls, getting screamed at, getting messages online that you should kill yourself, like terrible things. And the jury also could hear the protesters while they were in the deliberation room. They could hear the protesters outside the courthouse screaming and yelling, which they really shouldn't be able to hear that, because it's not, that's kind of influencing their choices. What are words? I don't know. And the jury was also supposed to meet at a secret location every day, and then to be brought by bus to the courthouse and then be brought back to the secret locations to then go home. However, this juror said that they were followed by members of the media and photographed, and he was even they were even worried that that the media was following them home and they had to pull over to the side of the road to check. There's just a lot of like harassment that could grow to potential physical confrontations. The person mentioned social media and news outlets and articles that they've read, and how some individuals are furious. Either way, furious that the jury didn't decide that she was guilty, furious that the jury didn't decide that she was not guilty. Like both sides of the road. It's very heated. It's very angry. Both people on each group, like meaning fans or supporters or whatever on each group, each side of the fence, are extremely intense and angry, like really volatile. There's literally been physical altercations that have been happening between some of these people. Somebody killed a turtle and hung it on Turtle Boy's mother's house. They have had protests that they show up right outside somebody's. But I think Turtle Boy actually organized that one. I could be wrong. And had people protest outside Michael Proctor's house, which, in my opinion, living only a state away, living 50 minutes away from all this, honestly, he kind of deserved it. Like, he didn't do a proper job. He did a terrible job investigating this case. And I don't know what the protesters said, though, but we have the right to assembly and to protest, and protesting outside a person's home that testified as a expert witness, as a lead investigator of a case that he did a botched investigation job. I would protest. I would. So I don't know, but I also don't know the dynamics of what that protest was. Like, were they saying terrible things, or were they just saying that he needed to go? Like, I don't know. I don't know the level of that. This juror is also concerned because there's been articles that have been saying that there's been an increase of rage about this